Slow. Go ahead.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So, earlier today, Shaykh Hassan asked me if I would be willing to do a khatira after Isha. So, I didn't want to tell him no, so I just went along with him. And I was reading a hadith today, and in the hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that on the day of judgment, when the only shade available is the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are 7 types of people that He will allow to be inside His shade. And those 7 people are the following: a just ruler, a ruler who is just; a young person who grows up in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala; a man whose heart is attached to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the masjid; and 2 men who love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They meet because of that love, and they depart because of that love. The next type is a man who is approached by a woman who's very beautiful and has an excellent position, but he says, "I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala" to her. And a man who gives charity so freely that his left hand does not even know what his right hand gives. And a person who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he is alone in the privacy of his own home, and his eyes become wet with tears. He cries when he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you think about the Day of Judgment and what's going to be going on that day, when the sun is so close to us, and we're drowning in the sweat that comes up to the height of our own sins, and a mother will not even look at her child, and a father will not even look at his children because of how stressed out and how horrible that day will be. And you think about the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have provided for them. They will be in His shade. So who are those people? And I think in the interest of time, I'll just go over the first 3. The first type is a just ruler, like I said. And when people hear this, I think they sort of just dismiss it because they think, well, I'm not a ruler, because they think of, kings and queens and people who have authority over hundreds of people. But the truth is that all of us have some sort of authority whenever we go about our daily lives, right? I'm not employed, but I have younger siblings. I have relatives who are younger than me, and I have some sort of authority over them. I have power over them. Or maybe in your own employment, you have your underlings. You have people who their status is less than yours, and you have to look over them. So how do you use and how do you exercise the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, and how do you stay humble despite having that power? Shaitan is going to whisper inside your ear, and it's very natural to want to feel superior to others and want to feel that you're better than others somehow, abuse your power to make yourself feel bigger than you really are. And it's very important to fight that urge and to remain humble in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the one person who has more power than anyone else, who is the King of Kings, the most majestic, the most powerful, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the Day of Judgment, He's going to be looking over all of us and thinking about how to use the power and how to use the authority that He has over us. And if we know that, and we're constantly thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how humble and how little we are in front of Him, then inshallah it's going to help us to remain humble and remain a just and fair ruler over everyone in our own lives. The next type of person is a young person, a youth, and we have youth here today, who have grown up in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes we see people, and those people are just so genuine, and they're so honest, and they're so close to their natural fitrah that you just can't help but be attracted towards them. You want to be their friend, you want to learn about them, right? I think we've all met someone like that, who's just so genuine. Every time they talk to you, you can see how honest they are. The Prophet was one of those people, right? He was a sadiq wal ameen. Everybody wanted to be in his company, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How do those people become like them? They're not just born with this natural inclination towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's because ever since they were born, the environment that they were in was a good environment. They were always surrounded by positive people. Their parents, whoever was raising them, showed them how to act in a way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to not act in a way that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this kind of person is the person who will be shaded on the Day of Judgment. When you're an adult and you have children and you have people that you're looking over and that look up to you as a role model, are you the kind of person that influences them in a positive way, that makes them a person who will be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or do they look at you when they see your bad habits and they see every mistake you're doing and that's what they copy? And if you're thinking that, well, when I grew up, I wasn't one of these people, it's too late for you. That's one of the most famous tricks of Shaitan. He makes you disbelieve in Allah's mercy. He makes you feel that you've done too many sins and you've done so many misdeeds that you can no longer be in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's good graces. But the bottom line is to be someone who is consistent in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who believes in His mercy. So we have to raise our own children like that. We have to create an environment in which they are always faithful in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're always turning towards Him and acting in a way that's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we're not doing that, then we are the source of the problem, and we have to fix that. And the last one I'm going to cover today is someone whose heart is attached to the masjid. Their heart is attached to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I think about my own daily life, and I think about how I schedule my day, I don't schedule my day around the 5 daily salah. I schedule the salah around my day, if that makes sense. I'm thinking about, I have to go to this place. Can I get a 10-minute break to squeeze in Dhuhr, to squeeze in Asr? Can I wake up in time to pray Fajr, right? And for everyone who has a job and has to go work, maybe you're thinking, if I get a break, I might be able to pray Dhuhr. If this happens, I might be able to pray. And that can't be the way that we go about our lives and how we schedule our lives. We have to schedule our lives around the salah. The salah has to be the sort of basic, concrete foundation. That's the most important thing, and everything else goes around that. Meaning, the first thing you think about when you wake up and you're thinking about what you have to do that day is, how am I going to make time for Dhuhr? How am I going to make time for Asr? That's my number one priority. How many of us treat salah as our number one priority? It's a very important question. And the truth is, right now, a lot of people aren't like that. They're okay with praying a little late, and then after that they're okay with missing a namaz or two, and then they're okay with not praying at all. It's a gradual process how Shaitan lures us in. It doesn't just happen all at once. And the only way to avoid that is to, like the hadith says, to feel an attachment in our heart, to feel a genuine love for the salah and for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people who are very dedicated and very conscious of their salah, they don't see it as a burden. A lot of us today, we think of salah as something we just need to get rid of. 5 minutes, we're done, we can finally get back to what's more interesting, what's more fun for us. But it should be the other way around. Everything else should be a distraction. And the salah should be the 5 minutes in our day where we feel at peace, where we feel we can finally relax and we can talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have faith in Him. So, inshallah, if I ever come back, we'll be able to do the last 4 people. But it's very important, these reminders. And just in one hadith, in one short hadith that takes maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute to read, you have so many lessons about how you should go about your life and how you can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and act in a way that pleases Him. Inshallah, when the day of judgment comes, all of us here will be one of those 7 people, or 7 types of people that are under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, He will ease our suffering on that day, and He will make all our trials and tribulations easy for us. And inshallah, everyone who heard this khatira today can take away a positive lesson from it. Whether it's to be more conscious about your salah, or whether it's to be, more conscious about how you raise your children, whether they're youth that are raised in the environment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or whether it's to be a fair ruler, a just ruler who doesn't abuse his power over people who he has power over. Ameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.